President Piñera, thank you so much for being here tonight. Congratulations on your award and for everything Chile is doing to lead the fight against climate change. I wanted to ask you why Chile is taking this role. What is the motivation here for speaking out internationally, and how does that fit in with your vision for the country going forward?
Because this is a battle of our lives. If we lose this battle, that will be it. And therefore, I'm convinced that we have already lost too much time. We have to recover the lost time, and we have to do what should have been done a long time ago. That's why Chile is really committed with fighting climate change and global warming, with all the instruments, with all the tools, all the commitments that we can put.
What are some of those tools? What are the commitments that you've made?
Well, we have been working to convince country to make a commitment to become carbon neutral before 2050. It was very difficult at the beginning. I remember that we started in the G20 summit in Osaka, where 6 countries, including Chile, also UK, France, Spain, Holland, committed to become carbon neutral. Now we have more than 66 countries with that commitment. And we hope that before the COP25 that will take place in Chile in December, we will have more than 100 countries. So basically what I see is that the problem is huge. Because tomorrow we will know the results of a study which is called United for Science. And it will tell us that the last 5 years have been the hottest years in the known history of mankind. That the level of concentration of greenhouse gases emissions and the temperature is the highest in the last 800,000 years. But at the same time, good news, because even though we are late, we still can do a difference. Look, we are the first generation that is suffering the consequences of climate change, but we are also the last generation that can do something to avoid the tragedy.
You mentioned that there are 66 countries that have stated that they're going to work toward net zero emissions, but some of the biggest emitters are not on that list. What are your thoughts about bringing them on board? How do you get the US and China and other big emitters to engage?
This is a paradox, because when we are facing the largest challenge of our lives, because this is true, it's not planet Earth which is at risk. Planet Earth has lived more than 4,300 million years, and it has faced and survived all kinds of catastrophes. Volcanoes eruption, deluge, earthquake, and it's still there. What is really at risk is the survival of human race on planet Earth. That's why I think that it's absolutely key that we put all our effort. So it's very incredible that the 2 main superpowers, instead of being leading together this fight for our lives, they are engaged in a very absurd tariff war. I hope that they will change and they will realize that we need them, because they are the 2 superpowers, and they are not playing their role and the leadership in this basic cause of humankind.
How do you think you bring them along? Is there an argument? Is there a statistic that would suddenly convince people? Is it the economic opportunity? What changes?
Well, there are some people that are skeptical. I have heard, for instance, President Trump, that he doesn't believe in climate change and global warming. I think that we know too much to remain skeptical. This is not a question of politics, faith, or any other matter. It's a scientific matter. Today, I saw President Trump attending one of the meetings on climate change and global warming, and that was a very good signal.
What are some of the ways Chile is leading? I know you have some bold goals. Can you outline some of them for us, please?
Well, first of all, we are leading in terms of we want to get results, real and effective results from the COP that we will host in Chile, which wasn't the case of the last COP in Poland, which was not a successful one. What are we trying to achieve? First of all, countries will have to come with new and much more ambitious commitments in terms of their NDCs, National Determined Contribution, which is how much greenhouse gas emission they would cut down. Second, we would like to incorporate the private sector, the cities, the civil societies. This is not just a question of states. Third, and this is very important, we will incorporate in our COP25 3 main issues. First, the protection and conservation of our rainforest, the protection and conservation of our oceans, and the protection and conservation of our poles, the South and the North Pole. Those are new things that we are putting into our priorities for the COP25 in Chile.
And as a country, you've committed to full decarbonization. You're getting rid of coal. You're phasing out of it. You have strong public transportation goals, I know, also high efficiency standards, and you're reforesting much of the country.
Yeah, because to become carbon neutral, it's not just a question of saying or willing. You need to put a plan in action, and we have done that. Basically, 4 pillars. First, we will decarbonize 100% our energy matrix, and we will replace all fossil fuel by new renewable and clean energies. The energies from the sun, from the wind, from the oceans, from the land. Second, we are putting very high standards in terms of energy efficiency in all sectors of our society. Third, we are changing our public transportation system. We are getting rid of oil and gas, and we are replacing that by new technologies, basically electromobility. And fourth, we are engaged in a very ambitious plan to reforest our country. In Chile, we have a huge forest area. Actually, Chile is one of the few countries in the world where the forests are growing and not shrinking. And therefore, those 4 pillars will allow us to become carbon neutral, hopefully before 2050.
And is there broad public support for that? Do Chileans understand that this is important for them?
This has changed a lot. If you had asked me that question a few months ago, I would tell you not enough. The situation has changed dramatically in the last few months. Now, the consciousness, the commitment of the people with fighting climate change with real will and compromise is really very, very fantastic. And that's the main, why I'm so optimistic, because I've seen in the last few months a change in the attitude. First the people, the young people, then the politicians, then the public sector, and now the whole society have realized that we cannot waste more time. We have only 1 decade to change the course of our world. If we don't do it, that would be it.
How are you transitioning in a way that works for all Chileans? How do you bring along, rich, poor, maybe people who work in fossil fuel industries? How do you reach out to them and engage?
First of all, by doing a lot of education and meeting with people, explaining people what is happening, why this is so important, that we are really fighting for our lives. This is not only an environmental compromise, it's a moral commitment, because we have the duty to give to our son, our children, our grandchildren, a better world than the one we received from our parents. And we're not doing that. And therefore, education, information, participation has been key factors to have a change in the consciousness, the attitude, and the commitment of the Chilean people. Actually, I saw yesterday a study, an international study, that points that the Chilean people are the most committed people in the world with the conservation of our land, oceans, air. So that's a very good point to start our cause.
It's a place of such natural beauty. I feel like it's so, obvious and apparent there what's happening to the natural world.
And besides, people are starting to realize the effects. What has happened? Tremendous drought, heat waves. The poles are literally melting. The ocean level is rising. People are realizing that. We're seeing that every day. So it's not just a theory like it was until a few months ago. That was a kind of theory that was not part of a day-to-day life of our people. Now they are seeing that every day. So they have realized and they have changed the way that they want to face this challenge.
So finally, as the host of the upcoming COP25 meeting and summit, what is your biggest hope for this? What's for the outcome?
That countries will come to Santiago with more ambitious, more enforceable commitment. We don't want speeches in Santiago. We want commitment. We want action. That's my most important goal. And also, of course, to engage the private sector, the social society. For instance, in Chile, right now we have not only 66 countries that have already committed to become carbon neutral, more than 100 cities, more than 100 big companies. So it's something which goes far beyond the the sphere of the state, and it's penetrating the whole society.
President Piñera, thank you so much for your time.
Julia, my pleasure. Thanks a lot.